Let me start with a question. How many of you, at some point of life, were asked, what are you going to do next in life by someone? Interesting. Now, let me ask another question. How many of you would like a life without any uncertainty in it? Okay, that's almost all of you. That would be perfect, right? You don't have to worry about what career you're going to choose, which college you're going to go, who you're going to be married with, and many more things. It would be much more happier and a peaceful life, isn't it? But unfortunately, you're wrong. That would be the most boring, unhappy, and depressed life you could ever think of. Because from my life, the biggest and the most important lesson that I've learned is being uncertain and in discomfort of not knowing what's next in life is the best blessings that could ever happen to you. Imagine you have a mystery box and you already know what's inside of it. Would you be excited to open it? No. Why? Because you already know what's inside of it, right? Now imagine your life like this. You have a person who takes all the decisions for you, starting from what time you wake up, what college you go, what you eat, what you wear, how many number of children you're going to make, everything. Well, at some point it might seem like some of our life, but keeping that aside, if that is your life and you just have to follow along, that would kind of be like a parrot living in a golden cage, isn't it? Well, in my opinion, that's the cost of a life without confusions, uncertainty, and problems to solve. What makes a mystery box so special is the unknown. And life is the greatest mystery box ever to be opened. It is the unknowns that have created all the magic in the world, brought all the excitement, found solutions, and made all the differences. We didn't know how to talk to 100 people at once, so we built microphones. We didn't know how to talk to a friend miles away, so we built mobile phones. Literally everything you see around you was once an unknown problem, and literally what you have over here is something that we made out of that. And if it were not for the unknown, I wouldn't be standing here in front of you right now. I'm an educator, an entrepreneur, a podcaster, and most importantly, a seeker. Every day, I seek new things, new ways, and new energy into my life. I welcome new problems to solve in my life so that I can help others to solve in theirs. And when people look at me right now, they feel like I had everything figured out. But I've been the most confused and uncertain person that I ever knew. I still am, by the way. I had 20 different ambitions even before graduating in 10th grade. I was nearly good at everything, good at studies, arts, sports, people, and more. And you know what happens? There are these layers of expectations that is built around you when you're something like that, by yourself and by people around you. I just wanted to be great and do amazing things. So the wisest thing to do after 10th was to choose science. Because someone told me, if you took science, you can turn your life into any direction you want. However, it is after 12th, you're thrown with the best drama in life. What are you going to do next in life? But there is a story that my mom used to say since I remember. She told me that I used to always take up objects and hammer it when I was a kid. So one of my uncles back then said that I'll be a great engineer. So, without even knowing what I wanted to do, along with 13 of my friends, I joined for computer science engineering. Within a year in college, I decided to ditch that career because I realized that didn't suit my personality. But somehow, Even though I wanted to drop out, I convinced myself to have fun. Meanwhile, I thought I can be a great interior designer. So I joined for a course, but left that at the end. So after 4 years of college, I was not placed anywhere because I set them I don't want placements as they asked me to attend for the placement preps during my teeny vacations. And one fine day, while I was sitting on my veranda, scrolling aimlessly, a random Instagram ad popped up. Without even knowing what the job role was, I applied for it. And after a few rounds of interviews, I was offered that job. So that's how I began my career as a tutor. And from there, I went on to be a trainer, then went into marketing, then into operations, then into sales and more. I did a few businesses, failed miserably, all of them. And being a multi-potentialite, I had 100 different other interests and was never ever constant at anything. And somewhere in between, I joined for my MBA, and I had to drop it out because I didn't want to make the same mistake of not dropping out when I felt I was not getting the most value for my time. And finally, when I decided to quit my high-paying full-time job out of blue to follow my passion full-time of creating videos and educating people, everyone I knew was convinced that I am mad, including me. So that's a long list of uncertainties and confusions, right? But after all of that, here I am, right in front of you. I've told you I've been the most confused and the uncertain person that I knew, but I'm really grateful that it had pushed me to try various things and make as many mistakes as possible as early in life. And when I look back at it now, I feel like I've done the right thing. And I know all of you sitting over here might be feeling stuck or confused at various things in life right now. Whether you'll be graduating college, what career you're going to choose, what job it's going to be, what's your purpose, whether you're going to be happy, and so many things. But how are you going to build your life over these uncertainties? How are you going to create magic in your life? How are you going to embrace these uncertainties? And how are you going to define the meaning in the unknown? When I look back at how I have been and still am doing things, I found it has a pattern. So here are 5 things to keep in mind just for you. Number 1, be present and manifest. Being present is a superpower. Do you agree with it? Yes. Understanding where you are and what you're capable of, including your skills, your strengths, your weaknesses, your personality, etc., helps you with taking better decisions and your problem-solving abilities. The research around this is fascinating. You could define meaning to most of your problems just by consciously manifesting them. Obi-Wan Kenobi once advised Luke Skywalker to not trust his eyes. You know why? Because your eyes can deceive you. How many times in life do we see things that we wish to see? For example, that car that you've been thinking of, or that dress you saw on TV. This phenomenon is called as motivated perception. You see what you wanted to see. And it's been explored in psychological research for decades now. When you start analyzing and talking about your problem, even if it takes some time, you come up with solutions to solve them. And most of the time, we get help in many ways. And most of the time, a missing piece of that puzzle might be right in front of you, but you either haven't been present to see that, or you don't take that. Most of us know how to solve most of our problems, but we don't take action. And that is why, number 2, jump first, think second. We have always been told to think before we take a leap, isn't it? I beg to differ. Our animal brains have always been wired to protect us. So every time you think about doing something, You always weigh down their pros and cons and so on, and you always come up with ways that make us scared to not do things that are uncertain. Things you have done before that are uncertain and everything. We procrastinate and run away temporarily from our problems. There are countless world-renowned psychologists and researchers who have proven that procrastination is rooted in fear of failure, of success, or of not being perfect. And fear is such a powerful emotion. We feel anxiety when we are pushed to do things that make us uncomfortable. So naturally, we tend to avoid them at all cost. But when we try to get rid of those negative feelings by, say, scrolling through social media, that is just a temporary fix. There is this motto that I've been following for a long time since I remember, and that is jump first, think second. Every time I kept faith in myself to trust my instinct rather than weigh things down, I kept doing more and more things. Things I knew I wanted to do, I didn't want to do, and more. And that ultimately took me into a better position in life. By facing our emotions, we start to manage them. There is a book called as Blink by Malcolm Gladwell, which speaks solely about this. There are various research that have been taken in account to discuss how you could take better judgments and decisions just by trusting your instinct. And there are various studies that says 9 out of 10 times you know what you want to do, but you're not ready to trust your guts. And the greatest answer to creating magic in life lies in trusting your guts. Give life a chance. Number 3, hold your hand. Somehow you have convinced yourself to close your eyes and take a leap. But how can you be so sure that you have landed on the right step? Well, apparently you cannot guarantee that you have landed on the right step, but you can definitely say you have landed on the next step. Be accountable, take responsibility, and hold your hand, because if you're not going to do that for yourself, no one else is going to be for you, because they have their life to sort it out. Number 4, be a seeker. Figure it out have been my most favorite 3 words ever, because it has such a power in it. The power to create your life, our life. Because life is not what is given to you, it is what makes you out of what is given to you. Until you look for something, you won't find them. And if you were to overcome all those overthinking and uncertainty, you need to seek help from yourself and from others. Many times in life, I have experienced what Paulo Coelho has said. The universe does help you in ways that you can't even think of when you genuinely start to try to make things happen. There are good people around you and they are willing to help you, but the only catch is you need to ask. But we don't most often. We feel shy, our egos get hurt, and we try to figure out most of the things on our own. But there are some things in life which you cannot figure it out without someone's help. And you'll be amazed to know what kind of people you have and what they could offer if you ask. So seek. And finally, number 5, own your story. There is this beautiful quote that I really like from Rochelle Goodrich that goes, if you own the story, you write every chapter of the book. Own your life, write the story you need it to read, you want it to read. When you take ownership of your life, you learn how to write your own story. The world is run on stories, we run on stories, and you are the story you say to yourself. And enjoy the journey and write a great life story. I've read it somewhere. Those who hold the pen, they hold the power. Take your pen and build your life. When you think of it, it does take a lot of courage to live your life. And you have to be brave enough to take your seat and go along. Every time I have been confused and stuck, I took the first step that I felt right and then thought, what's next? I failed 100 times, I will more. And I think that's what makes the story worth reading. I've heard it somewhere, humans have the ability to prescribe meaning to the mundane. And I can't agree more to that. So always remember, whenever you feel stuck, jump first, think second, rest everything, you'll figure it out. Thank you.